Good afternoon, everybody. It is a sunny day here in Louisiana, in the swamps, as I like to say. I got some really great positive feedback on the DCC free RPG GM screen, and I wanted to follow that up with another video. Reposition the camera to try and block out some of that glare. Unfortunately, all I have is like velour blinds in my game room slash office slash storage room. And the other thing is, I took off my glasses because they're very dark. And while they do help me see, facial expressions and stuff mean a lot more when you can see somebody's eyes. So, anyway, today's topic is Mutant Chronicles 3rd Edition by Modiphius Productions. It's a 2D20 system. This is a very cool game. I was unfortunately unable to back it on Kickstarter because at the time it came out, I was in the process of moving from Arizona to Louisiana, and I just didn't have the money to back it. And the other downside was it's a fairly steep price point for the game. That being said, it is gorgeous. You get some serious bang for your buck. I think it retails for $61.99. I bought it at my favorite local game store out here called Paper Heroes. A guy named Kevin runs it and owns it, and he's phenomenal. If you're ever in the area, in the Lake Charles area, stop in, say hi. Let him know John sent you. What I did do though is I did reach out to Modiphius, and I do a lot of GMing at conventions that when I can go for the little small cons and in-store demos that Paper Heroes likes to run every third Saturday of the month. We have an open RPG day, and there's about 2 or 3 of us that are GMs, and we usually come into the store and try to run games. Sadly, it's a small town, so a lot of times it's the same people over and over. But every once in a while, you get new people that have never played or are curious or haven't played anything but, that big fantasy game that everybody knows has the initials of D and or D. But I ran this in the store demo a couple months ago when it came out, and it went over pretty good. I think everybody enjoyed it. It's 491 pages, full color, glossy paper. Sadly, my little creative camera here can't do it justice, but it goes into character art and character creation and does it really well. It's very well done. It even comes with a built-in bookmark, a little piece of silk or satin that they've laced into the binding. It's glued and stitched. This book's not falling apart anytime soon. It's quite thick, as you can see. Again, 491 pages. Last couple of pages are given over to the Kickstarter backers. And then the very back cover, hopefully my camera will focus in on that. You can see that they've got a lot of stuff planned. And if I remember correctly, the Kickstarter backers have already received a lot of those books. But like I said, I did run a demo in my local game store, and I reached out to Modiphius, and they were gracious enough to send me a free adventure. It's not very thick. It's like 20-something pages. 48 pages, my bad. 48 pages, full color. Printed it out at work. Don't tell my boss. But I ran it for a bunch of kids, and they were super excited. They had a really good time. It's a good intro adventure. I believe you can still get it off of the DriveThruRPG or RPGNow.com. Big shout out to those two companies. I use them a lot. I recommend if you're looking for PDFs, that's a good place to go. They have a lot of GM Day sales and stuff like that. That's really nice. So in the meat of the book, let's see. The lead designer was Jay Little, who also worked on the Star Wars RPG, and he's done quite a different thing, different other games in and around the industry. This has a full miniature line for the miniature game called Mutant Chronicles Warzone. Those miniatures are made by Protos Entertainment. I'm not exactly sure if they are or are not affiliated with Modiphius, but I know the miniatures look fantastic. In fact, I have a set of Mishima, the starter box. I really wanted Bauhaus, but at the time they weren't available, so I bought the Mishima ones, and I'm quite happy with them. They came together very nice. They're put together. They're not primed or anything. In fact, you could probably see one there. I don't know if the camera will. Let's see if the camera will will show up here. Not sure how the detail's going to be on that, but the miniatures are dynamic and they look great. So sorry if you heard my phone ringing there in the background. I apologize. So again, super awesome game. If you like, sci-fi, space-driven fantasy, this is a really good game. You literally only need this book. You don't. You can buy all the Splat books. They go into more detail. Uh, but you really don't. As a GM, if you're a gamer on a budget, yeah, $61 is steep. $62, $61.99 plus tax. Um, but Amazon, eBay, you can find it a little cheaper. But it's a world in a book. The nice part is this is everything you need to play. You don't need to go out and buy anything else. It doesn't use any funky dice. It just uses D20s and D6s. It's 2D20, which is their claim to fame, I guess. It's a very elegant system. It's very easy. It's not very hard. One of the concepts that's a little weird is that they have like an advantage when you roll and you get a good success. You can carry that advantage forward, and by that you get extra d6s and you create like a little pool, and then you can use those on other dice rolls within that turn. So each character, if you roll super well, you can get these extra dark symmetry dice or advantages. Motivation, I believe, is the correct word that they use, and you can spend that motivation, or you can give it to the next player in the turn, so that maybe they can do more damage. If you know the next player coming up is a real heavy hitter and he's in close combat with the main bad guy, you can give him some of those extra dice and improve their damage dice if they do manage to hit. It has magic, aka dark symmetry, is what it's called in the game, and that is basically not necessarily magic. It's more akin to psionics, but it. Um, you can use it for anything. It comes with a list of spells for the dark symmetry. Of course, if you buy the dark symmetry source book, then you have a ton more spells. But everything in the book comes with an adversary chapter with a bunch of guys in it, bad guys, monsters, people, everything. It's phenomenal. The setting, it is way in the future. Earth has been pretty much abandoned because it's been strip mined. The world is divided into corporations: Cybertronic, Mishima, Bauhaus, Capital. I think I'm forgetting one. Anyway, um, Capital, about 20, 30 years ago, sent an exploration ship to Pluto, and they landed, and they found a big seal in the ground. And, humans being humans, they weren't sure what it was, so they mucked around with it. And guess what? They let out the darkness, the dark symmetry, which are an extraplanar entity. They want world domination. They want to conquer everything. There's several different apostles: Ilion, Moauji, Samai, and Algaroth. Are the ones that come to mind. There may be another one, but again, I'm a little rusty on it. I haven't ran it in a couple of months. But anyway, each of those apostles have minions, and they each embody a certain aspect. Like Algaroth is the god of war. Ilion is the goddess, and she's like the number one. She's the main honcho, and then Algaroth would be second, and it goes on down the line as far as their power. And Ilion is all about the dark symmetry and magic or psionics. I prefer to call it psionics. I don't like to call it magic because magic connotates a fantasy setting. To me, this is a sci-fi futuristic setting. The cool part about it is, though, because that dark symmetry's come back into the world, one of the first things they did to corrupt man and to take away man's power or humanity's power is they corrupted technology. So even though we're like in the 23rd, 24th century, and we've got spaceships and we've got thinking computers, it's all backfired. It's all attacking us. And so in man's wisdom, they shut it down. They stopped using technology, and now it's almost barely above steampunk. I mean, they're still computers, but they're not sentient, and things go bad with them all the time because of the dark symmetry. Cybertronic is the only corporation that uses the computers, and everybody else is trying to figure out how come they can get away with that, and why doesn't the dark symmetry affect them? And that's one of the big mysteries in the game, that as you play the game and more source books come out, they're going to reveal that story to you. And of course, when you have all this darkness and evil in the world, you have to have a positive, aside from the player characters, and that's called the Universal Brotherhood, or the Church, the Brotherhood, and they are basically, there's cardinals, bishops, deacons, that kind of thing, and they're basically, the one true God. They never come out in the book and say it's God. They just say it's the Brotherhood. And Cardinal Durand was the last cardinal to give his life, and he's been sanctified. And he was fighting, I believe it was Algaroth, and he gave his life battling Algaroth to keep the Dark Legion from winning. And that was, many years ago. And so it's kind of gone into myth now, but there's enough people that remember the reality of it. So in short, phenomenal setting, lots of fun. If you like a dark sci-fi slash fantasy, I hate to use the word fantasy, but there's a lot of swords in this game. There's a lot of psionics. But you like high-tech guns and flamethrowers. The Gehenna Puker, that's the name of the flamethrower, is an awesome weapon. A lot of high-tech weapons, a lot of escalation. The game is very cinematic in that it really emboldens the players to do big things, to try, because you get that motivation and you can carry it forward and you can help each other out. The character creation, they kept it with the flow of the old game, the original first and second edition, where there's a life path for those of you that have played Traveler, where you start as an adolescent and you have a bunch of charts that you roll on and you create your character's history, basically. So you can be anything from a photographer, a journalist, to a cop, to a soldier, and anything. You can be a doctor. You can be anything in between, and then you get recruited by the corporations, or you become what's called a freelancer, and that freelancer troubleshoots. That's basically what you do. And this adventure basically takes the premise of, you're all freelancers. You may be working for one of the big corporations, but you're still a freelancer. And the ultimate goal is to become part of the corporation and improve your station in life, which is, the goal of everybody, right? You want to do better in life. You want more money. You want nicer things. And the way to get that is by becoming a member of the corporation and being funded. And so freelancers strive to do that, although you can also take the point of view of, you hate the corporations and you don't want to kowtow to them. So it's a fun game. If you get a chance, I haven't seen too many online, like on YouTube. I haven't seen any playthroughs of the game itself, where people are showing you how the game is played. If I had a better setup, I would totally do that, because I think it deserves a lot of exposure. I was a huge fan of the game back in the day, in the early 90s, and I supported it. I had all the books, and if you can zoom in back there, you'll see they're up there on the shelf. If I'd have been more prepared, again, these are all off the cuff, they're raw, I would have had the first and second edition books down here to show you. They followed a lot of the art. Paolo Parente is one of the big artists. If you're a fan of his art, he did a lot of the art for Dust, which is also being put out by Modiphius as an RPG. In fact, I think it's already out. I had no interest in that game, but Paolo's art is phenomenal, and they got a lot of artists that are in his same genre and vein to do art for the book. And so it's full color. There's a lot of black and white art in it as well, but it's all glossy. Production value is phenomenal. And like I said, if you can pick it up, do yourself a favor. It's a good read, if nothing else. Buy the PDF. You can buy it off a drive-through or RPG Now, or you can even get it straight off of Modiphius's website. And it's a good read, if nothing else. They did come out with a series of graphic novels and even a comic book back in the day, which were all really good reads. So if you can find those, you might be able to find them in EPUB. So you can just download them to your Kindle, your iPad, whatever, your Android phone, whatever your device of choice is. Just make sure there's no dark symmetry in it, because it might attack you. Anyway, this is Gideon, aka John, or is that John, aka Gideon? Doesn't matter. Signing off, and as always, game on.